Okay, here we go. Our A line with graduation. So I'll section out the top following her natural parting. Slightly diagonal section from her natural parting to the crown. Then I'll take the section from the crown and I'll divide the back in two major sections and I'll clip out my guidelines A line section. So here I want a super hard clean line, so I'll comb the hair to natural fall using sufficient tension, and on the skin I start to cut in my curved A line shape through the back. Now make sure this line is curved. If you go in and cut a diagonal line and you have a hard V shape in the center, it looks aesthetically awful. So make sure you go in and you're hitting a curved shape. Working just with the tips of my shears. Now I have to cut the opposite side with the exact same angle and length, so I'll need to check this off for balance through the ends of my section and the center of my section. Again, working in a curved manner. Have your eyes exactly where you're cutting, and each time your scissor opens and closes, adjust that angle, and that's the best way I found to get that curved effect. Check for symmetry and balance, and just go back and just clean up your guideline a little bit more, allowing for that. She has this little cowlick at the nape, so I'm just allowing for that, with approaching it with a little bit less tension. Now that your guideline's nice, clean, and polished, every section will flow smoother. If your guideline is off, you'll find that every section becomes progressively more challenging, and that's because your guideline still has errors in it. So before you move on to your second section, make sure that your guideline is just perfect. Okay, so second section on the opposite side, again, the angles of the tips of my shears pivot, and one way for me to control this angle best is that I also physically become an A-line shape. Like my shoulders are bent, my head is bent, so I mimic the shape that I'm actually cutting. So take your next progressive section, and here I'm cutting between the teeth. So there's multiple ways to approach this haircut. Through the back, I recommend that you use two, one or three. One, cutting under the teeth of your comb. Two, combing the hair onto the skin and cutting on the skin. Or three, just combing the hair perfectly to natural fall and just really stealth-like go in there and take down your line. Executing this A-line shape is extremely difficult, so you have to have a super heightened awareness of your hair's placement at natural fall. I mean, combing to natural fall is challenging. And if you have any over direction when you comb the hair, that will definitely throw off your line. So here again, on the skin, my eyes are exactly in front of what I'm cutting, and I'm just working with the tips of my fingers, just working that curved shape in. Okay, I highly recommend that throughout this haircut through the back, that you make sure that the position of your body is directly in front of what you're cutting. And again, you want your eyes there. You want your eyes to be at the level that you're actually cutting the line, so there you can visually assess whether or not you're accurately combing the hair to natural fall. You can visually assess the adaptations of the angles with your scissors each time they open and close. So again, combing the hair to natural fall. And during the technical portion, the wet part of this haircut, take the time to do this right. Because once the hair is dry, you'll have to go back and refine the shape because the hair lies significantly different, wet and dry. So the more attention you give your shape during the technical portion, the less time you'll waste cleaning up the overall outline. Okay, again, just working in that curved shape through the back, combing the hair to natural fall, using a decent amount of tension just to hold that line in place. Again, natural fall, and the end result of the line that I intend to cut, I want this line to be super, 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 beyond super clean. So again, just working in manageable sections and just work that line in little by little. And here I have a tendency to throw my A-line off, so I have a heightened awareness to keep that not as intense. So I pay a lot of close attention to my over direction at this point. Okay, and working in the opposite side. So notice I'm just using the tips of my shears again. My eyes are exactly in front of what I'm cutting. And I cut this angle in different ways. I'll cut from left to right, from right to left. I found that if I cut the entire left side, just from center towards the ears in that direction, my line will have a tendency to start kicking. So I'll do some snips left to right, and I'll go back, and I'll do some snips right to left. So now as we connect into the side areas, I'll take the A-line from the back, and I just connect that line all the way to the front. Allow for the ears, and notice how she has that awkward growth pattern. So you have to take into consideration all these slight details. So for the two side areas, I'll be showing the video in high speed. Technically it's about the same. My eyes are exactly in front of what I'm cutting. I make sure that I comb the hair always to where it falls naturally. And just using the tips of my shears, I just continue to work in that symmetrical A-line through both sides. Okay, eyes in front. I'm standing directly in front of what I'm cutting. And just work that line out until you achieve the result that you wanted. Now again, remember how I said symmetrical. So the exact angle, the exact length through the tips, around the ears, and where it connects to the back, they must be the same. So now I'll section out a slightly diagonal section from the occipital bone to the crown, and then there I'll start cutting in my graduation. Make sure you comb the hair straight out. The hair that you comb, it has to be parallel to the teeth of your comb. Elbow up, fingers down, and my shoulders here are also A-line. I also become the shape that I'm cutting. Now with the next section, I'll elevate the hair slightly higher, again combing the hair out smooth, clean, and I continue to cut in my graduated shape. So I'm cutting the right side of the shape in the back. I begin standing, I'm right at her occipital bone. And throughout the haircut, I want my body position to be consistent. So you can just place your feet, and if you need to reach, just lean forward with your hips. So that way you're not jumping around too much. The more you jump around, the more you're physically moving throughout this haircut, especially when you're creating this technical graduation in the back. The more you move, the more errors you may be achieving with your haircut. So less is more. So I'll plant my feet, and that allows me to maintain greater control and a lot more consistency with my elevation and over direction. Okay, next section, again, is elevated higher. And here I'm at the crown area, so you have to be a little bit careful. If you notice some super jumpy cowlicks here, use less tension, or you can flip your comb to like the wider side. It's always better to allow for that length with cowlicks than using too much tension, cutting it, and after you dry the hair, you have a bump, you have a hole in the haircut. So just that extra awareness. Now again, I'm over directing the hair up and backwards. My elbow, fingers, scissors, they are all the same shape that I'm cutting. I'm cutting an A-line shape through the back. So again, here I control my stroke count so I don't have to comb out that section too many times. So it allows me to have a lot more energy to place more focus in the manner that I'm combing the hair, to where I'm elevating the hair, and how I'm over directing the hair. So again, less is more in the fact that it gives, if you're using less strokes, it gives your brain more attention to focus on where you're actually over directing the hair, because controlling the hair is done in your left hand. The right hand holds the scissors, and the scissors just knock the hair down, but the actual control comes from your left hand. So here, as I'm working through the top area, I'm working with slightly curved sections. I'm over directing the hair back, and with each section, I increase my elevation. And I want my A-line through the sides to drop out enough. Because I found that with this technique, if the sides have too much graduation in it, it takes away from the overall aesthetic and the movement of the shape. So again, with each progressive section, I increase my elevation and I over direct further back, and I make sure that about half of that section drops out so I can keep my A-line. Okay, so comb the hair to natural fall, make your visual assessments. Now, through the left side of this haircut, I have to cut the exact same angle, elevation, and consistent tension. As I approach the left side of this haircut, this time around, I'm not standing directly at the occipital bone. I'm standing between the occipital bone and the shoulder. But my feet are still planted. So again, next curved section, I'll increase my elevation and make sure with each section you have a portion of the opposite side. Ensure that you're combing the hair super clean from roots to your guideline. Through the left side, your fingers are high, elbows are low. Okay, continue working in the exact same manner. Remember, with each section, you progressively increase your elevation. So here I'm cutting from high to low. It could be cut from low to high, either way. I just feel, for me, it's more organic working the left side of this haircut, again cutting from high to low, but it could be done either way. So making sure that you comb the hair super clean, have your comb, fingers, elbows, scissors, shoulders, all mimic the shape that you're actually cutting. So here I'm also at an acute angle. I also become an A-line, which gives me a lot more control. Okay, just working out this technique, like calm, cool, collected. This technique is extremely challenging. So have a strong mind map before you go into the haircut. So now as I work through the top, again, I'm working with curved sections. I increase my elevation, and again, make sure you have a piece of the guideline from the opposite side. So I'm checking the sides here. Okay, so next, curved section. With this section again, I'll be increasing my elevation and over direction. And work in manageable sections. You don't have to rush this. And then you can mind map this. Like before you cut each section, just run the entire process, play by play, in your mind. See yourself executing it perfectly, and then go back and physically do it. I found that this is how I cut now. When I run it through my mind and everything is amazing and perfect, and then I physically do it, I cut down on my timing. My accuracy is much more accurate, and the end result, again, it's the same amount of time, but the end result is greatly enhanced. Okay, and for the blow dry here, I just go in and I'll flat wrap the hair. I'll leaf and bevel it. I want a soft, organic feel, not too much root lift. So just flat wrapping, leafing, beveling under. I want to get a nice, straight, smooth finish, because once the hair is dry, I have to go back and check off this haircut because the hair lies different, wet and dry. Okay, so once the hair is dry, I immediately start at the back, and I'm going to refine this line till it's absolutely perfect. So again, working just with the tips of my shears, my eyes are exactly where I'm cutting, and I'll just keep on working this line. So I'll comb it to natural fall and I'll clean up dust. I'll comb it to natural fall again, I'll clean up dust. I'll visually check my line from multiple angles, and I'll just keep on refining it and combing it, refining it and combing it, refining it and combing it. This is essential because you have to make sure that after the haircut, the hair will move. So when the line's cleaner, your movement is increased significantly because there aren't any breaks in the shape. So just keep on working that line until it's absolutely perfect. Don't rush this. You have to nail this line, especially through the back, and since it's curved. Okay, so here I'll jump into high-speed video for the texturizing. So here I just cross-check and texturize. I'm not really removing tons of weight. I just want the end effect that I want is I need to be able to comb the hair super smooth from roots to the ends. So again, I'm not removing my shape. I'm removing heaviness. I'm removing that bulkiness because the hair is quite thick. But I'll only texture maximum at about 1.5 inches. That's like a rule of thumb. I don't want to go in there and bust up the shape at the roots because it will encourage the hair to grow out awful. So just working in shadows and just combing the hair. If I feel a snag, I go back and I'll texturize some more. And as I texturize, I like to, for this shape, I like to elevate the hair higher when I texturize because it'll give my textured effect a much softer feeling. If I elevated the hair lower and then texturize, it would give the effect a harder feeling. So right now I'm going for softness because her hair is already super, it's beyond super thick. So with super thick hair, I recommend just when you texturize the hair to elevate it and then texturize and work in consistent shadows and texture it until you're able to comb the hair smoothly and comfortably from roots to ends. And I'll go back and I'll start cleaning out my A-line through the front. Remember, I let about half of this section drop out in the technical portion and just keep on working that line until it's nice, clean, perfect. Check for movement and check your line from multiple angles. Okay, into the fringe area, she already has a fringe, so I'm just going to work off what's existing. And here I'm going in and cut a slightly V-shaped fringe, so like the longest piece is between the eyes and the shorter by the eyebrows. I'm just working what's pre-existing because the shape's A-line, so if I have something that has a strong corner in the front, it complements the overall haircut because there's a consistency with the actual technique and shape that we're building. So just continue to work the fringe in until you get it nice and clean. Okay, so there's our A-line graduation. Enjoy.